Imagine waking up one morning and suddenly gas prices jump overnight. Groceries get more expensive. The stock market drops hundreds of points. And experts start warning about inflation rising again. All because of a war happening thousands of miles away. But here's the real question. How does a war between the United States and another country, like Iran, actually affect the daily financial life of an average American? In this video, we'll break down exactly how wars impact the economy, why prices rise, and what it could mean for your money, investments, and cost of living. And trust me, the effects go much deeper than most people realize. Part 1. The first shock: oil prices. One of the first and most powerful economic impacts of war comes from oil. Iran sits near one of the most important shipping routes in the world, the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway handles about 20% of the world's oil supply. If a conflict escalates in that region, even the fear of disruption can send oil prices soaring. And when oil prices go up, it doesn't just affect energy companies. It affects everything. Transportation becomes more expensive. Shipping costs increase. Airlines pay more for fuel. And eventually, businesses pass those costs directly to consumers, which means you pay more. More at the gas station, more at the grocery store, more for online deliveries. Even if the war is happening thousands of miles away, your wallet feels it. Part 2. Gas prices hit first. For most Americans, the most visible impact of war is at the gas pump. Historically, geopolitical conflicts in the Middle East have caused oil price spikes within days. When oil prices jump by even $10 to $20 per barrel, gas prices across the U.S. can increase quickly. For example, a driver who normally spends $60 per week on gas might suddenly be paying $80 or $90. Multiply that across millions of households, and suddenly Americans are spending billions more every month just on fuel. That money has to come from somewhere. Usually it means cutting spending in other areas. And that's where the next economic impact begins. Part 3. Inflation starts rising. Higher energy costs ripple through the entire economy. Think about how many industries rely on transportation: food delivery, retail shipping, construction materials, air travel, manufacturing. When fuel becomes more expensive, companies increase their prices to maintain profits. This is called cost-push inflation. And once inflation starts rising again, it becomes a serious problem for policymakers. The Federal Reserve may decide to keep interest rates higher for longer. That means higher mortgage rates, higher car loan rates, higher credit card interest. Suddenly borrowing money becomes much more expensive, and that slows down the economy. Part 4. The stock market reacts. Another major financial impact of war is stock market volatility. Markets hate uncertainty. When investors hear about military conflict, geopolitical tension, or supply disruptions, they often react quickly. Stock markets can drop hundreds of points in a single day. Why? Because investors start selling risky assets and moving money into safe haven investments like gold or government bonds. For everyday Americans, this matters because millions of people have investments tied to the market through 401k retirement accounts, pension funds, index funds, and retirement savings plans. If markets drop suddenly, those accounts can temporarily lose value. Even if the long-term impact is small, the short-term volatility can be intense. Part 5. Government spending explodes. Wars are incredibly expensive. Modern military operations cost billions of dollars every month. The United States already spends more on defense than any country in the world. If a major conflict expands, the government may increase spending dramatically on military equipment, troop deployment, weapons systems, defense contracts, cybersecurity operations. While this can stimulate certain sectors of the economy, especially defense contractors, it also increases the federal deficit. And over time, rising government debt can put pressure on the economy. This can eventually lead to higher taxes, reduced public spending, or more borrowing. Part 6. Some industries actually benefit. While war creates economic stress in many areas, some industries actually benefit. Defense companies often see huge increases in government contracts. Military equipment manufacturers may experience rising demand for aircraft, missile systems, defense technology, surveillance systems. Energy companies may also benefit if oil prices surge. Higher oil prices mean higher profits for many American energy producers. This is why during periods of global conflict, you sometimes see energy and defense stocks outperform the broader market. However, this doesn't always translate into broader economic prosperity. For most households, the increased cost of living outweighs those gains. Part 7. Global trade disruptions. War can also disrupt global trade routes. Shipping lanes may become dangerous or restricted. Insurance costs for cargo ships can skyrocket. Some regions may even face temporary supply shortages. For consumers, this can mean delays or price increases for everyday goods like electronics, clothing, automobiles, building materials. And since the global economy is so interconnected, disruptions in one region can quickly affect supply chains around the world. Part 8. Economic growth slows. When you combine all these factors together, higher energy costs, rising inflation, market uncertainty, and reduced consumer spending, the overall economy can start to slow down. Businesses may delay investments. Companies may slow hiring. Consumers may cut back on spending. And economic growth may weaken. Even a short conflict can shave fractions of a % off GDP growth, which may not sound like much, but for a trillion-dollar economy, that's significant. Part 9. The psychological effect. One often overlooked impact of war is consumer psychology. When people feel uncertain about the future, they spend less money. They delay large purchases. They save more cash. They become more cautious. This drop in consumer confidence alone can slow economic activity. And since consumer spending drives nearly 70% of the U.S. economy, changes in spending behavior can have powerful ripple effects. Conclusion. So while wars are often discussed in political or military terms, they also have very real financial consequences for everyday people. From higher gas prices and rising inflation to stock market volatility and slower economic growth. Even conflict happening thousands of miles away can directly affect the financial lives of millions of Americans. Understanding these economic ripple effects is important because it helps explain why global events can suddenly impact your cost of living, investments, and financial future. The global economy is more connected than ever before, and sometimes the biggest financial impacts start far beyond our borders. If you found this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing for more videos explaining how global events impact your money and the economy. Because in today's world, understanding finance isn't just helpful, it's essential.